news. Anytime, anywhere. 24 hours a day. Available now on Local 10 streaming channel. Local 10 News Now.
Come to the Hot Tub and Swim Spa Blowout Expo this weekend at the Charles Dodge City Center, Pembroke Pines. See the largest display of hot tubs and swim spas in the area. Major brands all up to 50% off at the Charles Dodge Center this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. NationalHotTubExpo.com.
Hi, I'm Andrew Koenig, president of City Furniture, and my mom, Doreen, lost her courageous battle with breast cancer in 2015. October was a special month for my mom. I have a fond memory of her and these little pumpkin buckets that she used to have made around Halloween. I hope you'll consider supporting the American Cancer Society in any way you're able to. Scan the QR code on your screen to learn more. This October, look for our incredible hand-carved pink pumpkin installations. So in memory of my mom and everyone in our community that has struggled with or is now battling breast cancer, I dedicate the pink pumpkins to you.
Impact windows protect against hurricane-force winds and flying debris. Call FHIA Remodeling, Florida's trusted local source for high-impact windows. It's our window blowout sale. Call during this program and we'll double your savings to $1,000 on a house full of new windows. Ask about 180-month financing with zero down. And we'll double your gift to a $100 Restaurant.com gift card with purchase. From FHIA Remodeling.
Sing it down about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Sing it down about a thing, 'cause every little thing.
Enjoy worry-free travel with the Sandals Vacation Assurance Program. Book with confidence, knowing your vacation is protected. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
Come to the Hot Tub and Swim Spa Blowout Expo this weekend at the Charles Dodge City Center, Pembroke Pines. See the largest display of hot tubs and swim spas in the area. Major brands all up to 50% off at the Charles Dodge Center this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. NationalHotTubExpo.com.
Next reel, Army vet JR has a touching story.
I got a random care package, sent an email thank you.
Hear how he found his true love.
4 years later, we got married.
That's a lovely story. Wheel of Fortune, tonight at 7 o'clock on Local 10.
18 wins last season. 18 more wins this season.
$1,417,401.
Can he be beaten?
This is unbelievable.
Next Jeopardy.
Jeopardy, tonight at 7:30 on Local 10.
7 a.m., Miami's secret golden hour. That's when we start our day at Pollo. And the magic begins for our new crispy chicken with seasonal pineapple salsa. First, we bread our always fresh, never frozen, 24-hour citrus marinated chicken breast for golden perfection. Then we grill some juicy pineapples and red peppers and chop them up into a sweet and spicy salsa. The new crispy chicken with pineapple salsa, platter, and tropi chop. That's how we do homemade at Pollo Tropical.
The Local 10 7-day forecast is sponsored by your South Florida Acura dealers. Stop by your local dealer for a great deal on a new Acura. You're watching Local 10 Sports with Will Manso.
It has been a brutal start to the season for the Miami Hurricanes football program. In addition to a 2-3 start on the field, ESPN's Kirk Herbstreit ripping the program, causing a response from both head coach Manny Diaz and University President Dr. Julio Frank. Well, today we heard from athletic director Blake James, who called Herbstreit's comments inaccurate. Herbstreit said that there was a lack of alignment between the Miami Hurricanes coaches, athletic department, and the university itself. James spoke this morning on the Packer and Durham radio show on the ACC network.
When you look at what our program has done and the investments we've made under Dr. Frank in football and in athletics overall, has been significant. And do we need to continue to do things at a higher level? Without a doubt. That's college sports. The bar is always being raised. But that was what was most frustrating, I think, for all of us here that really have an understanding of where things are at. Is the statement was just inaccurate and was something that really caught us by surprise, and is frustrating to have something like that out there.
Well, the Miami Heat start a Texas two-step tonight. They'll be in Houston, 10 o'clock tip time. Get your coffee ready. Then tomorrow night, the Heat take on the Spurs in San Antonio. In their preseason opener, Miami beat Atlanta. They look good doing it. New guard Kyle Lowry showing off both his scoring and playmaking skills. The Chicago Sky headed to the WNBA Finals. They upset the Connecticut Sun last night, 79-69. And the WNBA legend Candace Parker leading the way for Chicago with 17 points, 7 assists, 9 rebounds. Phoenix and Las Vegas will meet on Friday for the other spot. By the way, Game 1 of the NBA Finals Sunday right here on Local 10. Florida Panthers held the morning skate today in Tampa. Cats are getting ready to do another preseason matchup with the defending Stanley Cup champs, Tampa Bay Lightning. These two teams just can't stand each other. After meeting in the playoffs last year, their first preseason game was physical, included several fights. Puck drops tonight at 7. NL wildcard Cardinals Dodgers tied at 1 in the 9th. Some drama. Chris Taylor providing it. How about a series-ending walk-off home run? That's right. Playoff game, win it, move on. And now the Dodgers with that 3-1 win will face their rivals, the San Francisco Giants. What a finish. And that is a look at sports.
What happened to your Yankees, man?
I'm sorry, my earpiece is
working. Of course, that's what I thought.
Exactly.
My heart is broken too. Thanks a lot, Will.
All right, that'll do it for the news at 4.
Here's what we're working on for you at the bottom of the hour right now. A man accused of running from police, going on a crash course, and ending up in the water. We're live on the scene.
Crime on camera. A man accused of stealing landscaping equipment from a business. We have video of the suspect. It's a one and only exclusive.
Plus, new details after police say a 10-year-old brought a gun to school. An attorney breaks down why he's not being charged.
Those stories and more coming up on Local 10 News at 4:30.
Starts right now.
And right now at 4:30, the search continues for a man accused of running police in Plantation, running from them before crashing his U-Haul van into two cars, ending up partially submerged in a lake. And after all of that, police say he was able to somehow get away again.
Locals 10's Christian De La Rosa live in Plantation with more on this wild ride. Christian.
Wild, bizarre, insane. This man was clearly trying to get away and left a path of destruction that started on the other side of the street here. Watch police checking in with the driver in the U-Haul van when he suddenly barrels forward, crashes into a pole, and drives off.
He was wanting to get away.
This man says he saw the driver in the van around 5 a.m.
And then I noticed there was a gun on his lap, so I went in the house and called the police.
Police tried driving after the suspicious U-Haul, but got stuck. Surveillance video captured the van driving through a mailbox at an apartment complex across the street.
We were sitting on the balcony, and all of a sudden, cop cars started flying in.
The U-Haul hit 2 parked cars before crashing into a lake. Police recovering items from the vehicle, but the man was nowhere to be found. So let's go over this again. He drove through a ditch, a barricade, Cleary Boulevard, mowed down bushes, a mailbox before he ended up in the lake. There's no description of this man other than the fact that he is armed. If you live in the area and you see anyone suspicious, you're urged to call the Plantation Police Department. We're live in Plantation. I'm Christian De La Rosa, Local 10 News.
Yeah, quite the wild ride indeed. All right, thank you, Christian. Now to a one and only exclusive crime on camera video showing a suspect stealing landscaping equipment from a landscaping business. We're now hearing from the owner of that business who hopes that suspect is caught.
And this all happened in Hollywood. Now police are investigating. Local 10's Roy Ramos is live with more on this. Roy.
Christy and Louie, well, the victim very upset by all of this. That truck and trailer taken right from the front of his home. But he says this was more than equipment that was stolen. This was his livelihood.
I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I just called the police.
Home surveillance video capturing thieves as they make away with a white truck and trailer filled with lawn equipment. But the crooks stealing more than just tools in a vehicle. This is how Boris Carmona makes his living.
I say money and I try and buy my stuff, and God provide me for my business, my customer.
Once a carpenter, Boris had dreams of owning his own business, and during the pandemic, his dream came true with Carmona Lawn Services. Unfortunately, in an instant, it was all stripped away.
With the lawn equipment and tools and everything inside the trailer, and my truck too.
Boris tells me he was asleep inside of his home when just after 3 in the morning Tuesday, the thieves circle his Hollywood home in the area of Dixie Highway and Sheridan Street. In seconds, the thieves break into his vehicle. They then drive off as a dark blue car follows close behind. As he now watches the crime unfold in these images, his hope is that he will get at least some of the equipment back so he's able to provide for his family.
It's a little disappointment about my truck and my trailer, but I just pray God every day, back all my stuff.
And as we come back out live, the surveillance cameras, the business owner here just hopeful that someone will recognize the vehicle in that surveillance video. Hopefully, maybe spot his truck and trailer out and about. If they do, he wants them to call Broward Crime Stoppers, that number 954-493-TIPS. For now, here in the city of Hollywood, Roy Ramos, Local 10 News.
Let's hope he gets it back. All right, thank you, Roy. Now to a school scare in Fort Lauderdale. We told you yesterday a 10-year-old child is accused of bringing a gun to school in his backpack. And today, we're learning more about why he's not being charged. Local 10's Joseph Ojo, live in Fort Lauderdale after speaking to an attorney about this case. Joseph.
And Louis, the attorney that I spoke with said that the state attorney's office likely looked at the mental state of that child before deciding that it was best to get that child some help rather than arresting the child.
Parents of children who attend Walker Elementary School in Fort Lauderdale have many questions after a 10-year-old brought a gun inside the school Wednesday.
How did a 10-year-old even get into the school with a gun?
A confused grandfather not aware of who owns the gun.
I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to find out what is going on.
You don't answer no questions to the media.
The gun scare sending the school into temporary lockdown, and in response to the incident, Broward State Attorney's Office said they wouldn't criminalize the child, rather make sure the child's family gets the help they need. Attorney Michael Gottlieb is not involved in this case, but he explains the possible reason why the young boy was not charged.
When you arrest a 10-year-old, you create a significant amount of trauma. And if they looked at this as a 10-year-old who's already suffering from some type of mental disease, mental defect, or some kind of family trauma, they made a decision that this is a child that society would benefit best if this child gets services rather than get arrested.
In a statement to Local 10, the state attorney's office said in part, most cases involving weapons on campuses are prosecuted, but we will always consult with police and school officials and evaluate the unique facts, circumstances, and evidence of each case before making a decision about the appropriate response. Gottlieb adds that this decision could lead to copycat school threats, but he warns not every child will get the same treatment.
And I think it's incumbent upon parents to sit down with your kids and say, this isn't right. You're not allowed to possess my firearm. Okay, you can't take my gun to school.
And due to that child having access to a gun, we are told that DCF was notified and now they are part of this case. We're live in Fort Lauderdale. I'm Joseph Ojo, Local 10 News.
Okay, certainly hope that child gets the help he needs. Thank you, Joseph. And developing out of El Portal, danger on duty for officers pursuing a burglary suspect who then fired at them, actually. Surveillance video shows a suspect burglarizing a home at Northeast 87th Street and Northeast 3rd Avenue about 3:30 this morning. Police say he then led them on a high-speed chase before running off and firing shots at the officers.
As they're pursuing, one of the officers pulls up on the right-hand side. That's when he discharges.
The burglary comes after other similar incidents have been reported in that very same area, like this one right here. We told you about this burglary just 2 days ago. He was caught on camera there at that Ring camera at the front door of another neighbor's home. More than a dozen Cuban migrants coming ashore in the Florida Keys today. Border Patrol agents spotting 13 people on board a homemade boat near Big Pine Key. All of them were taken into custody.
Right now, Sunrise mother and father are beyond distraught. They say they have not seen or heard from their daughter in nearly 2 weeks. 33-year-old Erica Vardesia was last seen leaving her home near University Drive in Sunset Strip September 24th. Her father says since then, Erica's phone has been shut off and there's been no activity on her social media accounts. Erica also has not spoken with her 6-year-old daughter, who is now in the care of her grandparents.
And no one that knows her, goes out with her, has heard from her. We have called everybody.
Come back to your father. I love you mucho, too much. I love you mucho.
Oh my God.
You can just hear the heartbreak in their voice. Detectives urgently investigating this case. If you have any information, please call Sunrise Police. Police in Brevard making a huge drug bust. Deputies posting this photo with the tongue-in-cheek message: if you have lost or misplaced approximately 770 pounds of high-grade marijuana and would like to have your property returned, please contact our narcotics agents. The drugs were found in a storage facility.
And now to the very latest on the search for Brian Laundrie. Sources say police have found some remnants of a campsite that appeared to be used very recently in the Carlton Reserve. And that's exactly where Laundrie's parents say their son went when they reported him missing on September 17th. Laundrie's father has also been called in to show law enforcement the trails at that reserve. Laundrie's fiancée, Gabby Petito, was found dead in a Wyoming campground last month. The 22-year-old was reported missing on September 11th after Laundrie returned from that cross-country trip without her. Her manner of death has been declared a homicide. A big fight in Lauderdale ending with shots being fired earlier today. This happened near Northwest 46th Avenue. Police say they responded to a fight involving 5 people. When they got there was a man shot in the chest. That victim was taken to the hospital in critical condition. There was also a child there who needed to be checked out for a minor injury. Police say they have one suspect in custody. They're still looking for more people.
The Minnesota Supreme Court has denied Derek Chauvin's request for a public defender. The former police officer is appealing his conviction for the murder of George Floyd. The court says Chauvin has not shown he cannot afford an attorney, but documents show he has nearly $150,000 in debt. Chauvin is serving a more than 22-year sentence for the murder of George Floyd. He does have an attorney for a separate federal civil rights trial. The Coast Guard has boarded a cargo ship which may have played a part in the massive oil spill off the coast of California. Navigation data shows the Rotterdam Express ship made unusual movements around the time of the leak. Investigators say the German ship's anchor may have damaged an underwater pipeline. The boat's owner has denied any role in the spill. Crews now working to clean up more than 140,000 gallons of oil in the Pacific.
Florida's Wildlife Agency is lifting its 3-decade-long ban on catching and killing Goliath groupers. Officials are arguing that the species numbers have rebounded. The FWC did approve the proposal just yesterday to allow recreational harvest of 200 groupers every year from March until May. But South Florida, by the way, as well as the Florida Keys, they are off limits for that. And the size of the catch is also restricted between 20 and 36 inches. Time now for a look at the closing numbers on Wall Street, and we like to see that things are rebounding nicely there in the green, up almost 340 points, standing at 34,754.
It is 4:40. We're watching an incident on the Turnpike in West Kendall.
Janice is here watching everything for us out there.
Yeah, and that's the only incident I am watching right now, although we will expect to see some of that stop and go traffic on our major highways. Always important to be aware when there is an incident that can make things just a little bit more difficult for you. And that's what's happening here on the Turnpike as you're heading southbound. This is at Southwest 120th Street. Unfortunately, this broken down car is blocking a right lane of traffic, and that means we're seeing a whole lot of red as you are heading southbound on the Turnpike in this area. So no surprises here that we are very much in the red, seeing a lot of those delays with speeds coming in right now at just 9 miles per hour.
All right, Janice, thank you. Matt Amodio continues his Jeopardy streak, winning 36 consecutive games. He's now earned $1,417,401. The New Englander is now behind only Ken Jennings, an executive producer of the show, who currently holds the top record with 74 games. Will he keep up the winning streak? Don't miss Jeopardy here on Local 10 weeknight, 7:30 p.m.
And coming up right here, officers in Daytona Beach coming under fire amid a standoff right near an elementary school.
Dramatic video from the scene showing a suspect pointing a rifle right at police. That's ahead at 5.
And then in our healthcast, researchers getting some answers for those who suffer from depression while pregnant. How it could all come down to your genes.
But first, months after a social media influencer was found dead, police have a warrant to arrest her husband. What detectives say he did as soon as they showed up. Next.
Take Local 10 online with you wherever you're headed. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for the latest social media news and interaction.
The nationwide search for a wanted man accused of killing his wife has ended in Fort Myers. Last year, the body of Alexis Sharkey, an Instagram influencer, was found on the side of the road in Houston.
And police say the only suspect in that murder was her husband, but he took his own life as U.S. Marshals were closing in. Nicole has more now from the newsroom.
Christy and Louis, U.S. Marshals arrived at Tom Sharkey's Fort Myers apartment complex to arrest him, but before they could put him in handcuffs, officials say he ran upstairs and, as you mentioned, turned a gun on himself.
I'm actually in shock. Like, I got chills all over my body.
Neighbors are frightened after hearing a man wanted for murder was living in their community.
Very scary because I am about to make some phone calls tomorrow.
In November of 2020, investigators found Alexis Sharkey dead on the side of a road in Houston. Houston police limited their suspect list to one person, her husband. Investigators say domestic violence played a big part in their relationship.
Just the psychological damage is one thing, but as it continues, domestic violence tends to get more progressive.
Glenn Carver, a domestic violence expert, says the danger in an abusive relationship tends to get worse and worse.
The most important thing that anyone can do is find a way to get themselves out, get some help.
Police say the two plan to get a divorce.
A person feels like they can't get free. They can't break free from it.
Investigators obtained a warrant from Tom Sharkey's arrest on September 29th. He stayed at a relative's home in South Fort Myers, and when law enforcement came knocking, he took his own life.
Police had not publicly identified Tom Sharkey as a suspect in his wife's death until Wednesday. Police say he was evasive with them, including leaving the state shortly after his wife's death. Louis.
So very tragic. Thank you, Nicole. All right, let's take a live look from our Pembroke Park camera right now, where things are looking, pretty hazy. It's that Saharan dust in the air right now, giving us that kind of film over our tower cam shots today.
And it seems to be getting darker earlier and earlier as well. So, I mean, I'm getting kind of, it's getting more wintry out there, but not temperature-wise.
No, let's play our game. How warm do you think it got today?
89.
Yeah, I agree with him.
Oh, close. We did 90 in
Wow.
Miami.
Did we really?
I know,
Wow.
right? Yeah, that's above normal for this time of the year. Our normal high is actually 87. Our normal low is 76. We had a low of 81 this morning. So from the start of the day to the finish, it's just been really warm. Breeze going, though. The air is moving, winds from the east-southeast around 15 miles per hour in Miami, where we're showing a temperature of 88, 87 in Fort Lauderdale at the moment in Key West, and also Fort Lauderdale. All right, our skycast for the evening, what it's showing is just some scattered clouds, but if you look close enough, it did show a little lingering shower off in the distance across that west-southwest sky. We have not had a lot of rainfall showing up in our neighborhoods today, and in fact, on the Doppler radar right now, we just see some scattered showers back out toward the Everglades. A shower has died down just east of Naples and left that area with a flood warning. But the showers over the Atlantic waters, these would be the ones to watch as they drift toward our shoreline. But what's tending to happen is even these are drying up as they're getting closer and closer. We've got the Saharan dust around, which tends to dry out the atmosphere, makes for a situation that limits rainfall development. And we've also, in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, we've got a mid-level area of high pressure centered nearby. Accumulated rainfall so far today, nothing in just about everybody's neighborhood, although Homestead coming in at just 0.01 inches. Here's your setup higher up in the atmosphere, the center of that area of high pressure right there near South Florida. So that knocking down the potential for much rainfall, not to mention that there's simply just drier air over us. And what we could use is a weather system to come on through here and lift up some of the warm, moist air that we've got, even at the surface, to get some rain going. But that's not going to be happening out there tonight, and probably not tomorrow either. There's an upper level low in the Midwest, that helping to destabilize the atmosphere to bring some rainfall there. What will start to turn for us is the upper level pattern, an upper level trough of low pressure. The jet stream takes a dip and digs down toward Florida, and that will allow for our rain chance to increase on Saturday. And then by early next week, maybe the upper level trough of low pressure is placed in a way that will have some drier air funneling back in, meaning that the rain chance is going to go lower. The humidity could come a little lower too early next week. Tomorrow, a 30% chance of rainfall. Saturday, a 60% chance for rainfall. Don't be caught off guard by scattered showers and storms. It's been a while since you've had some. You're like, what's this going on? we've still got rain in the forecast for Saturday. Louis?
All right. Thank you, Betty.
Sure.
The extreme rainfall breaking records in Italy this week. A series of storms unleashed wet weather. In total, more than 2 feet of rain fell in just half a day. Dozens had to be rescued after reports of mudslides and flooding. A bridge also collapsed in the town of Quilano. A truck flipping onto its side and getting wedged between a building in Valencia, California. This happened at a shopping center. This started with a police chief, but no other details were released by officials. The suspect was treated for minor injuries at the scene.
In today's HealthCast, a large ongoing study of child neurodevelopment finds that children born during this pandemic are now showing lower cognitive skill signs. Now, researchers in Rhode Island found that even without being infected by the virus themselves, the environmental changes associated with the pandemic negatively affected infant and child development. Among them, language skills.
As kids are isolated more, they are not experiencing language the same way the kids before were able to experience language. And the best way to learn language is by experiencing it. Going places, seeing things, talking to their families, getting together with other friends. By being isolated, they weren't able to do all that.
Avavit Ben-Aharon, who is the CEO and clinical director at Great Speech, says studies have shown that delayed language skills can impact learning throughout a child's life. Also, researchers with the National Institutes of Health have linked depression during pregnancy to changes in placental genes, and some of that affecting brain development as well. The researchers conducted a genetic analysis of placentas from pregnant women who participated in a previous study. They found that a history of depression could impact 2 genes linked to the brain, possibly affecting the long-term mental development of the child. And previous studies have also found associations between maternal depression in pregnancy and a higher risk of depression in children.
More than 40% of the people in the U.S. don't plan on getting a flu shot this year. One out of 1,000 people surveyed, 44% said they either were not sure or were not planning on getting their yearly flu shot. That includes 1 in 4 people who have a higher risk for flu complications. Most of those people said they believe the flu shot doesn't work very well. Health experts say this year's flu season could be worse than average because last season was mild because of the COVID-19 protocols. American Airlines has set a date. All employees must be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 by November 24th, or they will be fired. The airline told workers Friday it would comply with the Biden administration's vaccine mandate for federal contractors. The mandate requires companies with more than 100 employees require workers to get vaccinated or get weekly COVID tests. Southwest Airlines said Monday would comply with the mandate. United Airlines issued its own mandate for workers that went into effect last week. Delta is now the last of the major U.S. airlines not to implement a mandate.
The game streaming service Twitch says it experienced a major data breach. The company says it's still working to figure out exactly the extent of the problem. Twitch pays streamers for their games, and some Twitter users say the leaked information accurately shows how much they receive. Amazon owns Twitch, and the platform has tens of millions of users. And a new report from Microsoft shows that Russian hackers are actually getting better at what they do. The company says Russia's success rate of getting unauthorized access to systems has risen from 21% to 32%. It also says hackers are increasingly targeting government organizations. Microsoft's data shows 58% of government-linked hacking attempts originated in Russia. The Biden administration has been working to build alliances with other nations to combat these attacks.
NASA plans to test if it can change the course of an asteroid headed towards Earth by crashing a rocket into it. It's going to conduct the first test for what's called planetary defense the day before Thanksgiving. NASA will launch a SpaceX Falcon rocket from California aimed at a 525-foot-long asteroid, which is about 6.8 million miles away. If it works, the technique can be used to change the course of any space rock that threatens the Earth. It's like a disaster movie come to life.
Yeah,
Wow.
Really? We got one of those that
Yeah,
we're living
okay.
already.
Well, that's where we are right now.
Well, a police officer being recognized for going beyond the call of duty.
How a traffic stop led to him installing a new TV for an elderly man. This story is next.
From traffic cop to cable guy, police in Michigan say Officer Kevin Coates pulled over a 79-year-old man for speeding and found that man was just visibly upset. The man had been driving around looking for help to set up a new TV he bought for his ill wife and adult son who has special needs. So Officer Coates gave him a warning on the speeding and later went over to his house with 2 other officers to help install the television and the cable. The department says, well, they just couldn't be prouder. That is definitely going above and beyond. That's it for us for right now. For the 4:30 news, the news at 5 starts right now.
Okay, Christy, thanks a lot.
Right now on Local 10 News at 5, a man taken into custody after a standoff at the top of a building in Aventura.
Shocking surveillance video of an attack at a popular tourist area in Fort Lauderdale. The victim escaping, and police are now on the hunt.
Only Local 10 News is speaking with Vice President Kamala Harris, talking about the budget battle, the debt ceiling, and much more.
3 South Florida school districts are up against the clock to comply with the governor's ban on mask mandates.
Push your hands!
Or lose
Police
even more money.
department! Drop the rifle! Drop the rifle!
Plus, intense body camera video of police officers under fire trying to capture a suspect with a semi-automatic rifle.
Local 10 News starts right now.
And let's begin with that breaking news once again in Aventura.
A SWAT standoff just ending after a man was spotted on the roof of a building. Local 10's Janine Stanwood is live on the scene with the late-breaking details. Janine.
Well, you saw it playing out on live television, and now it is over. But what a wild scene happening right here at the Promenade Apartments. The scene is clear now. That wasn't the case a short time ago. Let's go straight to Sky 10. You can see that man on the roof. At times he's pacing, he's sitting and standing. He's communicating with police officers on the ground. Police say that the U.S. Marshals were here to serve a warrant on this guy. He was inside his unit, but then he decided to climb up onto balconies and on top of some of the buildings here. Photos from the scene show Aventura police as well as North Miami Beach cops on scene. Residents say the commotion was going on for a few hours, no doubt disconcerting for them. Take a listen.
I was sitting in my house and all of a sudden we hear this noise on top of our roof. And next thing you know we look out the window and there's all these cops outside asking to speak, or they're talking to the gentleman. And from there, he's like basically running back and forth on top of our roof.
But just before 4 p.m., police say they were able to negotiate with him. That man you can see in this video did come down with the help of firefighters. SWAT officers had him in cuffs. You can see they give him a bottle of water. They eventually douse him down with water before they put him in an ambulance. Police say these are always potentially dangerous situations because they don't always know who they are dealing with. Take a listen.
Once we get a clear picture, then engage, set up a protocol. Once you get rapport with the individual, calm them down or her down, and then we try to always go as slow as we possibly can so that we can ensure that there's no injuries at the end.
Thankfully, there were no injuries. All of this went off without a hitch. Some neighbors earlier had said that they had smelled gasoline and they were wondering if maybe he had been dousing gas, but that is not the case. Firefighters say there was no hazmat situation here, so that is the good news. Why he was wanted by the U.S. Marshals, that is still under investigation. It's a developing story. Anything new we learn, we'll let you know. We're in Aventura. I'm Janine Stanwood, Local 10 News.
A frightening time for those residents out there. Thanks a lot, Janine.
Vice President Kamala Harris speaking exclusively with Local 10 today.
Our DC Bureau Chief discussed a range of topics with her, including the budget battle and the recently resolved dispute over the debt ceiling. Local 10's Ben Kennedy is live at the White House now with our one and only exclusive with the Vice President today. Ben.
Calvin, Nicole, the Vice President said that short-term deal in the Senate to raise the debt ceiling is a positive step. We talked about that, the president's proposals, and the border.
So let's start with infrastructure.
In an exclusive interview with Local 10, Vice President Harris talked about lawmakers' latest efforts to pass an infrastructure bill and the president's $3.5 trillion budget plan to invest in climate change, education, and health care.
Florida has over 400 bridges that are in bad condition, that over 700,000 people don't have access to affordable high-speed internet. It's a big issue in Florida and South Florida.
Her remarks come as the fate of the U.S. economy hangs in the balance. Congress has until October 18th to raise the debt ceiling, as Thursday the Senate announced a breakthrough.
Republican and Democratic members and staff negotiated through the night.
We have reached agreement to extend the debt ceiling through early December.
I think it's a positive step forward, and we have to pay our bills.
In December, lawmakers will face two big deals to fund the government and to extend the debt ceiling. Should Americans be worried? We'll be right back where we started.
Well, listen, here's the thing about the debt ceiling. And really, it is similar to what you and I and all your viewers know about our own lives. And in that way, the government and the country is no different. You rack up bills as part of the cost of living. You need to pay your bills. When you don't pay your bills, then the people that you do business with lose confidence in you.
In March, the vice president was tasked with addressing the root causes of migration from Central America. This as state officials in Texas prepare for another possible surge of Haitian migrants at the border.
The country of Haiti has experienced extreme hardship for a long period of time. What we all know is just even in the last decade, what has been obvious, and even before that, but hurricanes and floods and the assassination of a president. And what we are doing as the United States government is saying, let's give aid to Haiti. Let's also provide for temporary protected status for Haitian immigrants.
And bottom line, the vice president says that Haiti needs help. She talked to me about her recent meeting with UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, where they discussed Haiti and the need for a global effort to help the country. Calvin, Nicole.
Ben, when it comes to the crisis at the border with Haiti and the migrants, there was not a lot of talk about vaccinations when the surge happened the first time. With an expected surge, did the VP mention anything about vaccinations or even COVID tests for that matter?
Well, Nicole, no, she did not touch about vaccines or COVID testing. She did discuss her efforts to uncover the root causes, and she has a continued effort on that, discussing that with world leaders. But also, she got really into reconstructing the border as a system, changing it to more of humanitarian, a humane way in light of those images we saw in Del Rio.
And we're going to hear more from you again at 6 o'clock. Thank you, Ben, for that exclusive interview.
And on to a safety alert in Fort Lauderdale today. An attempted abduction caught on camera.
The victim walking by a construction site when a man runs up behind her and tries to kidnap her. Local 10's Leanne Modajon is live with the video police want you to see. Leanne.
Yeah, the video really is at the center of this investigation. Police telling us that the victim begged and pleaded with her attacker, offering him money, her phone, whatever he wanted just to get him off of her. In the end, a witness, someone nearby that heard the commotion, actually stepped in to stop it, and that scared him off. An attempted kidnapping caught on camera in downtown Fort Lauderdale. It happened just before 6 a.m. September 9th down this side street near the 500 block of East Las Olas Boulevard. The video shows the unsuspecting victim walking wearing a backpack. The shirtless suspect runs up to catch up to her. It's hard to see what happens in the distance, but police say the suspect grabbed the victim, choked her, slammed her to the ground, and dragged her. It was only when a witness tried to intervene that the attack stopped and the suspect ran away.
This victim, she was simply getting up, starting her morning a little early. She wanted to go out to the beach to kind of get some fresh air. She had her headphones in at the time that this attack happened, so it wasn't even like she heard the suspect coming up behind her. So this is a very traumatizing incident.
Take a closer look. The attacker is described as a tall man in his 30s, last seen wearing dark pants and white sneakers. Police say they've run out of leads and are now turning to the public for information.
To get this victim the closure that she deserves.
The victim in this case had a head injury. She was hit in the head when she fell to the ground. She was taken to the hospital to be checked out, but police say they really want to hear from anyone who knows who this guy is or maybe was around when this attack happened. If you are that person, go ahead and call Fort Lauderdale Police. You can also call Broward County Crime Stoppers at 954-493-TIPS. Reporting live in downtown Fort Lauderdale, Leanne Modajon, Local 10 News.
What a disturbing situation. Thanks a lot there, Leanne. Pfizer has filed for an emergency use authorization of its COVID-19 vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds. If regulators agree, shots could begin within a matter of weeks. The FDA will have to decide if there's enough evidence that the shots are safe and effective for younger children. An independent expert panel will publicly debate the evidence later on this month. Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County school districts have 48 hours to comply with the governor's ban on mask mandates or face more financial penalties. Local 10's Hatzel Vela is live now with much more for us today. Hatzel.
Calvin, despite the fact that 8 different superintendents argued that they're doing what's in the best interest of their community, the Board of Education voted in favor of more sanctions. Under more threats of sanctions, superintendents in Broward and Miami-Dade are sticking to their guns, telling the State Board of Education they believe they're complying with state law and meeting their constitutional responsibility when it comes to mask and quarantine policy.
It is worth noting that the Parents' Bill of Rights does not grant rulemaking authority to the Department of Health nor the Department of Education.
On Tuesday, the Broward School Board voted not to change its masking and quarantine rules until the county reaches a vaccination rate of 67%, which they say they have, and until COVID positivity rates drop to 3% across the county. On that same day, the Commissioner of Education threatened to pull more funding, the $420,000 Broward schools got from the Biden administration. The Commissioner of Education says worsening sanctions come because Broward schools refuse to follow the governor's ban on mask mandates, as well as last month's new rule from the state that says parents should decide if the child should quarantine after coming in direct contact with someone who tested positive for COVID-19.
Since August, we lost 14 staff members and 1 student, and many more have been hospitalized. We know masks reduce viral spread. Those who say otherwise are misinformed or misguided.
So that fight continues. In fact, we heard from the superintendent here in Broward County who reminded the Board of Education that a lawsuit was just filed yesterday, 4 school districts against the state and what they should call the rule-making process. For now, reporting live from Fort Lauderdale, I'm Hatzel Vela, Local 10 News.
All right, Hatzel, thank you.
5:09 right now. We're watching a crash on I-595 in Broward County.
And Janice Fernandez has the details for us.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of red with this one, you guys. So on 595, as you're heading eastbound, approaching I-95, I am watching this crash, and it has a left lane block. So do expect to see some of those slow speeds as you are heading eastbound. Those speeds are coming in at around 6 miles per hour. And that's not the only thing I'm watching. I'm also watching a crash on the Palmetto Expressway. This is in Miami-Dade County. This is going to be as you're heading southbound right at Northwest 74th Street. We do have a left lane blocked with this one, and you can see a whole lot of red with your speeds coming in at around 11 miles per hour.
All right, Janice, thank you. Police making another arrest after a deadly mass shooting outside of Miami-Dade Banquet Hall earlier this year. 20-year-old Warnrick Buckner was arrested yesterday in connection with that devastating shooting outside El Mula on May 30th. Buckner appeared in court today. The judge denied him bond. He is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and 20 counts of attempted murder. Video from that shooting shows what is believed to be Buckner, as well as 2 other shooters getting out of a car, opening fire on that crowd, killing Desmond Owens, Clayton Dillard Jr., and Shaniqua Peterson. Police are still searching for the other 2 shooters. Anyone with information is asked to call Miami-Dade Police.
It is staying quiet in the tropics just the way we like it.
Chief Certified Meteorologist Betty Davis is here with your tropical update.
Hey everybody, there really is not a whole lot to see other than this disturbance off the South Carolina coast, an area of low pressure. We're checking it out on the visible satellite imagery and also looking at the upper level winds being depicted here. These are still really strong, so making for a hostile environment. This system simply having a tough time organizing as all the clouds, the shower thunderstorm activity shunted to the east side of that center of circulation. But we'll keep an eye on it. The National Hurricane Center giving it a 30% chance of developing over the next 5 days. It's expected to move slowly toward the east-northeast, just off the Carolina coast. We'll see what happens through the weekend. It eventually interacts with a front. No concerns right now. Nicole?
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Betty. Only on 10, danger on duty for police officers chasing a burglar.
And one of those veteran cops describing how she pulled alongside the suspect's car when he suddenly started shooting. You don't want to miss our riveting interview and our one and only exclusive, all new at 6.
Another exclusive, a landscaper asking for help after thieves stole his work truck, and it was all caught on camera. We'll give you a closer look at the crooks.
But first, we have dramatic body cam video of police officers under fire.
Show me your hands! Oh, you saw that! Stay far!
Those officers pinned down by a suspect with a semi-automatic weapon, and he refused to give up. That story coming back.
Take Local 10 online with you wherever you're headed. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for the latest social media news and interaction.
We have dramatic police body camera video from Daytona Beach.
Officers repeatedly coming under fire during a standoff near an elementary school. Eden is back at our newsroom right now with this intense video.
Calvin, Nicole, those officers were doing extra patrols just after midnight when they spotted an open garage door. While investigating that, they heard a gunshot and the confrontation was on. When officers hear that gunshot, they start running toward it while radioing in for backup. They run through several yards before finally coming out into a field near some woods and a creek. One officer calls for air support as they zero in on a pickup truck and suddenly shots are fired.
Let me see your hands! Police department! Drop the rifle! Drop the rifle!
The officers quickly reload as they realize the gunman was pointing his rifle right at them.
He's laying on the ground behind the truck. You okay? You good? Central, I need someone to go to whatever road that is to our west. Drop it! Drop it! Drop the rifle!
Josh, your hands! As officers regroup and use a fence to shield themselves, they check to make sure everyone's okay. Then the shooting starts again.
Don't shoot unless you have a target.
Nope, I don't have nothing.
Show me your hands! Oh, just stop that. Cease!
The sergeant realizes just how close he came to being shot.
Round just hit about 4 feet in front of me. Hug that. You okay? I don't think I'm hit.
You good?
Yeah, he hit the... Central, get me Air 1 as soon as possible, please. He's shooting again. Central, he's starting to comply. He's definitely hit, at least in the leg.
That suspect continued to randomly fire at officers for 7 hours. Once the sun comes up, he gives up. It's now the next morning, and you can see that shirtless suspect has been hit in the right leg. Heavily armed SWAT officers move in to take him into custody. Police arrested this man right here, 25-year-old Joseph James. He was taken to the hospital for treatment of that gunshot wound to his leg. He's expected to make a full recovery. No law enforcement officers were hurt during that 7-hour-long standoff. Once that man's out of the hospital, James will be booked into the Volusia County Jail on 10 counts of aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer.
Okay, Ida, thanks a lot. A major development in the battle over abortion rights. A federal judge ruling in favor of the Biden administration blocking enforcement of a Texas abortion law. It is the most restrictive in the country and bans abortions as early as 6 weeks before most women even know that they are pregnant. The U.S. Supreme Court will take up the case sometime later on this year. The family of yesterday's Texas school shooter is speaking out today. 18-year-old Timothy Simpkins was taken into custody after opening fire and injuring 4 at Timberview High School following a fight in a classroom. But his family is arguing that he was bullied and was protecting himself. Now the assistant superintendent in Arlington says that the entire situation will be evaluated, including the lack of metal detectors inside the school.
In California, the U.S. Coast Guard has released video of what they believe caused that massive oil spill. Officials say a 4,000-foot section of the pipe was bent and had a 13-inch rupture. The busted pipeline spewed up to 144,000 gallons of crude oil into the Pacific Ocean. What caused the rupture, that is still under investigation. Facebook blamed an error during routine maintenance for causing a massive global outage that took down its services, including Instagram and WhatsApp, for hours. The problem occurred as engineers were working on Facebook's global backbone network. Facebook says a bug in the audit tool prevented it from properly stopping the command.
A magnitude 5.9 earthquake jolting Tokyo this morning. Several train lines were stopped as the quake shook buildings in Japan's capital. It registered a tremor of 5+ on Japan's own scale of quake intensity, a level that could cause some serious damage. Cell phone video shows the moments the quake went into effect, rattling homes and streetlights. A Japanese news agency says that several minor injuries were reported. Still to come today, another break in the case after nearly 24 people were shot outside of a club.
3 people were killed when gunmen jumped out of a car and started blasting away. We'll explain how detectives tracked down the second suspect, all new at 6.
And a vandal caught on camera here defacing a building here in Florida. We'll show you more of this very clear surveillance video. Welcome back. More tidal trouble today. The king tide's coming in strong. Look at that.
Wow. Oh yeah. Sky 10 capturing flooding late this morning at the Hollover Beach Marina. Look at that video.
Yes, let's check in out with Betty Davis to find out if tonight is going to bring about the same situation.
Yeah, later tonight at the time of high tide, we would expect the same. So that's about the only thing that's going to lead to some standing water, because rainfall, that just is not our issue. None measured today in Miami. Our high temperature was 90. The Doppler radar painting just a few showers back over toward the Everglades, and these over the Atlantic waters as they are seemingly drifting in our direction. These teeny tiny showers, they are fizzling. They are drying up. So we're simply not expecting much rainfall for tonight. No more than an isolated shower just before or even after sunset. It'll be partly cloudy by 9 p.m. Still some hazy conditions out there. We've got a bit of Saharan dust tinting the atmosphere, and that has been noticed on the dust model, a little bit of that overhead, and that's also serving to help keep the rain chances low. Still caught between two systems, at least that's how I'm looking at it. This area of low pressure off the Carolina coast is being monitored for some organization tropically. Development potential is low, though. And then this front right here, eventually these two features, that low and the front, will interact. And the thing is, the tail end of this front makes some progress Saturday down toward the north central part of the peninsula, and will be on the side that will afford a better chance for rain to finally develop over the area. So though the rain chance is low tomorrow at just 30%, take a peek at the 7-day planner. I'll give you 2 seconds to turn away from the kitchen and look at it. All right, rain chances up on Saturday to 60%, but drier air could prevail early next week and will push the rain chances lower again. Nicole?
All right, thank you, Betty. Next at 5:30 and only on 10, a local business owner asking for help after thieves stole his work truck and all of his tools from right in front of his home. We'll show you more of this surveillance video.
And a chaotic confrontation here caught on camera in Broward County. Officers having to jump out of the way after a driver found sleeping in a U-Haul van suddenly woke up and took off.
Plus, a South Florida teacher learning a new way to reach her students through social media when Local 10 News at 5:30 gets started right after this break.
Starts right now.
Right now at 5:30 and only on Local 10, a local landscaper now scraping by after thieves stole his work truck with all his tools inside. And that heist was caught on camera right in front of his home.
And now he's hoping you can help get his truck back. Local 10's Roy Ramos live with a closer look at these crooks. Roy.
Louis and Christy, the victim, very upset by all of this. He says his truck and his trailer were taken right from the front of his home here in this driveway. But he said this was more than equipment that was taken. This was his livelihood.
I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, I just called the police.
Home surveillance video capturing thieves as they make away with a white truck and trailer filled with lawn equipment, but the crooks stealing more than just tools and a vehicle. This is how Boris Carmona makes his living.
I say money and I try and buy my stuff, and God provide me for my business, my customer.
Once a carpenter, Boris had dreams of owning his own business, and during the pandemic, his dream came true with Carmona Lawn Services. Unfortunately, in an instant, it was all stripped away.
With the lawn equipment and tools and everything inside the trailer, and my truck too.
Boris tells me he was asleep inside of his home when just after 3 in the morning Tuesday, the thieves circle his Hollywood home in the area of Dixie Highway and Sheridan Street. In seconds, the thieves break into his vehicle. They then drive off as a dark blue car follows close behind. As he now watches the crime unfold in these images, his hope is that he will get at least some of the equipment back so he's able to provide for his family.
It's a little disappointment about my truck and my trailer, but I just pray God every day, back all my stuff.
It's very upsetting for this business owner. If you happen to recognize that suspect vehicle or you know who is responsible for any of this, you are urged to give Broward Crime Stoppers a call. That number, 954-493-TIPS. For now, here in the city of Hollywood, Roy Ramos, Local 10 News.
Boy, sure hope he gets his stuff back. Thanks so much, Roy. And now to a chaotic confrontation caught on camera in Plantation.
Police having to take evasive action after a driver found sleeping in a U-Haul van suddenly took off and later crashed right into a lake. Local 10's Christian De La Rosa live with this wild video. Christian.
Louis, Christy, the one thing people in this neighborhood want to know is where is this man who left behind a trail of destruction that started on the other side of the street here? Watch police checking in with the driver in the U-Haul van when he suddenly barrels forward, crashes into a pole, and drives off.
He was wanting to get away.
This man says he saw the driver in the van around 5 a.m.
And then I noticed there was a gun on his lap, so I went in the house and called the police.
Police tried driving after the suspicious U-Haul, but got stuck. Surveillance video captured the van driving through a mailbox at an apartment complex across the street.
We were sitting on the balcony, and all of a sudden, cop cars started flying in.
The U-Haul hit 2 parked cars before crashing into a lake. Police recovering items from the vehicle, but the man was nowhere to be found.
There's other complexes right near here, so they could hide in a myriad of places. That's scary.
I'm not worried. I'm a veteran and I have a license to carry. If he comes back here, it'll be the worst decision he ever made.
Well, clearly a lot of people in this area left on edge. Again, this man started his trail of destruction and chaos on the other side of Cleary Boulevard here in Plantation. There is no description of this man, but if you see anything suspicious in the area, you're urged to call the Plantation Police Department. We're live in Plantation. I'm Christian De La Rosa, Local 10 News.
Christian, thank you. A big fight in Lauderdale ending with shots fired earlier today. This happened near Northwest 46th Avenue. Police say they responded to a fight involving 5 people when they found a man shot in the chest. That victim taken to a hospital in critical condition. A child also had to be taken to be checked out for a cut. Police say they have 1 suspect in custody, but are still looking for 1 more. Hollywood police releasing new details from an attempted armed robbery in August. This is one of the 4 suspects who tried to rob a mobile locksmith of a machine that cuts vehicle keys. Cops say he's in his 20s, tall and thin, with a scar on his face. The men are believed to have driven off in the 2010 Lexus model IS250 with a possible partial paper tag reading CZZ.
The confessed Parkland school shooter back in court today for a pretrial hearing on charges of a fight with a detention deputy back in 2018. Local 10's Christina Vasquez is live with what happened today in court. Christina.
Of the motions discussed today during this pretrial hearing, one of them was a defense motion, and it relates to some specific language they want in proposed jury instruction. Take a look.
The defense has a right to have the jury instructed on its theory of defense.
Today's hearing started with a defense request for this jury instruction.
You find that the Broward Sheriff's Office lost, destroyed, mutilated, altered, concealed, or otherwise caused any evidence to be unavailable.
and the language, reflecting a previously argued defense argument. Last month, the defense team for Nicholas Cruz wanted the judge to dismiss the case, or at least this video capturing the 2018 BSO jail guard attack, because it said BSO failed to preserve all the audio and video recordings it timely requested, which they said constitutes denial of due process. It is an argument the judge already rebuffed in her order to deny the motion.
I understand the court has already made the decision as to materiality in the last hearing. That is what I am asking. If a juror makes that finding of materiality on his or her own.
But now the defense is seeking to work that perspective into a special jury instruction. You will hear from defense attorney Jacqueline Browdy and then prosecutor Maria Schneider.
My point is that it is for a juror to determine if it was material.
In this video, there's no audio. So it's not like they destroyed audio that existed. There was no audio to destroy. This instruction is not an accurate statement of the law.
And the judge said that essentially what she'll do is she'll take all the arguments she heard from both sides under advisement and rule later. For now, reporting live for you in Fort Lauderdale, I'm Christina Vasquez, Local 10 News.
Christina, thank you. And now the latest in the search for Brian Laundrie. Laundrie's father now helping officials inside the Carlton Nature Reserve, where investigators discovered a fresh campsite that's become the focus of this massive search. Chris Laundrie went to the area today to help point out some of Brian's favorite trails. Laundrie's fiancee, Gabby Petito, was found dead in the Wyoming campground last month. The 22-year-old was reported missing September 11th after Laundrie came back from a cross-country trip without her. Her manner of death has been declared a homicide. The Brevard County Sheriff's Office showing off the results of a big drug bust. Deputies seizing 770 pounds of marijuana from a storage facility in Viera. The Sheriff's Office posting these pictures of the pot, which is enough to fill the entire room, on Facebook with a note taunting the owner to come and claim it.
Tampa police releasing some video of a vandal in action. That surveillance video starts with a suspect crossing a street carrying a couple of spray paint cans. Another camera captures him looking around a little bit before walking up to a building and defacing it. He took his time, too, spray painting a big section of that wall before stepping back and looking at his work. Then adds a final touch before walking away. Another camera captures the getaway car, too.
The controversy over mask mandates in school has become one of the hot-button issues in the governor's race. Today, Democrats Charlie Crist and Nikki Fried weighed in, blasting the governor for his hardline stand, saying parents should have the final say on their kids wearing masks at school. Our senior political reporter Michael Putney has more from the newsroom. Michael.
Louis, this mask controversy just keeps heating up. The Miami-Dade and Broward school districts are not backing down, and today they got support from the two leading Democrats running for governor.
Wearing masks in school during this pandemic and at school districts requiring masks had lower cases per capita than those that did not.
Today, Nikki Fried, the state ag commissioner who's running for governor, unloaded on Governor Ron DeSantis, accusing him of hiding data that says kids do much better when they wear masks to school.
This is indisputable evidence, as if we already didn't know, that masks work. The kids are safer wearing masks in school during this pandemic, and at school districts requiring masks had lower cases per capita than those that did not.
Fried says Miami-Dade students who have been wearing masks since classes began have had 3.5 times fewer cases of COVID than school districts that don't require masks.
It's completely wrong. It's unacceptable.
In Dania Beach today, candidate Charlie Crist blasted Governor DeSantis for withholding federal money meant to pay local school board members who defied the governor on mask mandates.
To punish people here in Broward County, throughout the state of Florida, for only wanting to keep our kids and our teachers safe is unimaginable. But that's exactly what the governor is doing.
But the governor is doing exactly what many Floridians want, giving them the power to make decisions over their lives and their children's. Chris says he would be better.
We need a governor who cares about people. We need a governor who has a heart. We need a governor who understands science and healthcare experts, and that we would rely on them to lead us through this pandemic.
This afternoon, the State Board of Education heard appeals from the Miami-Dade and Broward school superintendents. They say their mandatory mask policies are based on science and what has proven to be best for kids, teachers, and staff. State Education Commissioner says these school districts are breaking the law. He and the school board gave them 48 hours to comply or face big fines. Michael Putney, Local 10 News.
All right, Michael, thank you. And more help for Haiti after that devastating earthquake. Broward Health is making a major donation of PPE and medical supplies. The hospital is sending supplies worth more than $250,000, including sanitation products, surgical gowns, face masks. This major help coming as hundreds of people are still suffering from that earthquake.
What you're doing here, you're showing compassion to my brothers and sisters in Haiti, because every little bit helps at this time. We cannot thank you enough.
Every little bit helps. Broward Health saying they are working with shipping companies to get the supplies to Haiti as quickly as possible. The August 14th earthquake killed more than 2,200 people and damaged close to 130,000 homes. Only Local 10 News is speaking with Vice President Kamala Harris.
Our D.C. Bureau Chief Ben Kennedy discussing the budget battle and the debt ceiling with the Vice President. You don't want to miss this exclusive interview. It's all new for you at 6.
Danger on duty for a couple of police officers when a driver loses control and they nearly lose their lives.
Plus, a disturbing new video of officers targeting demonstrators who were protesting the murder of George Floyd.
But first, a live pic from our Mount Sinai Medical Center tower cam. Pretty nice over the Magic City. That is not rain you're seeing. That's just the African dust, the Sahara dust in the air right now, causing this haze over our city. Those temperatures, though, when will they go low? Betty Davis is next with the forecast.
Caught on camera, a disturbing new video taken just days after the murder of George Floyd. It shows Minneapolis police roaming the streets saying they want to hunt down protesters.
Be very, very quiet. We're hunting activists. Right there! Get him! Get him! Get him! Hit him! Hit him!
Officers seen cheering on one another as they enforce curfews, actually shooting at demonstrators with those rubber bullets. And there's another video to show you. Officers were seen rushing right toward one man before beating him to the ground. The Minnesota Supreme Court has denied Derek Chauvin's request for a public defender. The former police officer is appealing that conviction for the murder of George Floyd as well. The court saying Chauvin has not shown that he cannot afford an attorney, but documents show he is nearly $150,000 in debt. Chauvin is serving more than 22 years for Floyd's murder. He does have an attorney, though, for that separate federal civil rights trial.
Authorities in Chicago searching for a man who shot a state trooper with his own service weapon. This happened late last night during a traffic stop. The trooper had pulled over a Chevy Suburban for speeding when the driver went for the trooper's gun, and it went off during the struggle, hitting the trooper. He was taken to a local hospital where his injuries are not life-threatening. The suspect is still out there.
Caught on camera, life-saving moments in Virginia. That's where police officers' dash camera captures the moment an out-of-control driver barrels right toward him and another officer as well. The car crossing the median and slamming into their police vehicle. The officer reacting in just seconds, pulling the female officer out of the way. The two officers then called for help and assisted the driver in the white car, and they only had some minor injuries. That is amazing. Prominent South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh is now accused of failing to pay a multi-million-dollar settlement to the sons of his deceased housekeeper. Murdaugh is in rehab right now for opioid addiction. He's also being sued by his family's law firm. He's accused of hiring a hitman to stage his own murder to get insurance money. The murder of Murdaugh's son and his wife still unsolved.
An online cold case group claims to have cracked the code of the infamous Zodiac killer. The casebreakers, who claim to be made up of retired law enforcement and military, claim to have cracked the code in letters the Zodiac wrote identifying the killer as Gary Francis Post, who worked as a painter in Groveland, California, and died in 2018. When asked to comment on the claim, the FBI issued a statement saying the Zodiac killer case remains open and they have no new information available. The Zodiac killer was never caught and claimed to have killed as many as 37 people. He stopped sending taunting letters to police and the media in 1974. The trial for a former Nazi camp guard beginning today in Germany. 100-year-old Joseph S. is accused of accessory to murder for serving as a Nazi guard at a concentration camp near Berlin during World War II. He's being charged with 3,518 counts of murder, but has refused to comment. Authorities say the defendant is considered fit enough to stand trial despite his age, but the hours spent in court will be limited.
Time now to talk weather with Betty as we inch a little bit closer to that weekend, that all-important weekend.
I see Friday.
Right there. We can touch it.
Beyond all that haze,
yeah.
There it is, our Pembroke Park Tower camera. It does not look like bold, beautiful sunshine, more like hazy sunshine today. Same deal as we're staring out toward Miami. Temperatures running in the upper 80s right now. Southeast wind at 15 miles per hour in Fort Lauderdale. It's 88, but the feels like temperature definitely in the 90s right now. Not much rainfall popping up over Broward and Dade. We've got a little bit of that Saharan dust around, which helps to dry out the atmosphere and keep it from raining. It's the showers over the Atlantic waters that I've been paying attention to just to see if maybe one of these teeny tiny things can make it in, but these are tending to dry out. But outside of a sprinkle or a light shower for the rest of the day, we're simply not planning on much rainfall. Check out what's happening higher up in the atmosphere. We're looking at an area of high pressure in the mid-levels. It's centered right near South Florida, and you can probably notice some of that drier air in the mid-levels too, right around that area of high pressure. So a few things working against us to really get any shower thunderstorm activity developing over our area. Same can't be said, though, for parts of the Midwest, where this upper level low, this is helping to destabilize the atmosphere to bring some showers and thunderstorms in and around parts of Illinois, over toward Indiana as well. A feature like this would probably do the trick and have more rainfall developing over Broward and Miami-Dade. We are foreseeing a change in the upper level pattern over Florida. that could bode well for supporting an increase in the rain chances on Saturday. A trough dips down toward the Sunshine State. Maybe we even get an upper level low playing out as well in the vicinity of Florida. But the deal is, this low may be positioned in a way so that by Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we'll actually be getting into some drier air. So we're going to put the rain chance highest on Saturday. It's at 60%, just 30% for tomorrow. And then we'll start to bring it back down Sunday, Monday, 40, and then down to 30% by Tuesday. Christy?
Okay, sounds like a good plan. Thanks, Betty. In the ever-expanding world of genetic testing, health experts are now finding an abnormal gene mutation that increases the risk of breast and other cancers more than previously thought. And that is the focus of our healthcast today. Bertha Brooks began her battle with breast cancer 26 years ago when she was only 40 years old.
They had done 3 different biopsies on me, and when they did the biopsies, all of the biopsies came back negative. And I said to my doctor, I said, that's not right. I said, something's wrong.
Bertha underwent a mastectomy to remove the affected breast. Then, in 2018, she developed cancer again in her other breast. Genetic testing revealed a mutation in a gene called PALB2.
We're learning more about the gene. Women who test positive for this genetic mutation, they have an elevated risk for breast cancer. It ranges anywhere from 41% to 60% by the age of 70. Oh, it's good to see you. How are you?
Breast surgeon Dr. Margaret Thompson with the Cleveland Clinic Weston says the gene mutation can be passed on to both women and men.
They would both be at risk for breast cancer and pancreatic cancer. Men would be at risk for prostate cancer, and women are also at risk for ovarian cancer.
People with the genetic mutation need to undergo much more frequent screenings and close surveillance.
I know that I have to stay on top of my family members and go, it's not just me, you need to get the genetic testing too to make sure you're okay.
Now, there is some good news because once it is identified, there are medications that can help target that PALB2 gene mutation.
Matt Amodio continues his Jeopardy winning streak, now at 36 games and counting. So far, he's earned $1,417,401 and only trails the GOAT, Ken Jennings, now an executive producer of the show, who holds the record with 74 wins. Watch him go for Win 37 tonight, 7:30 p.m. Only one place to watch it, right here on Local 10.
He is amazing. And still ahead right here at 6 and only right here on 10. Danger on duty for police officers chasing down a burglar. When they finally catch up with this guy, he starts shooting. One of these veteran cops describes the harrowing moments in our one and only exclusive.
Police making another arrest after nearly 24 people were shot outside a club. 3 people killed. We'll explain how detectives track down that second suspect.
But first, a South Florida teacher is all the rage on social media right now. We're going to show you how she's using TikTok to keep her students engaged when Local 10 News comes right back. A South Florida teacher has become a social media star.
Her students turned her on to TikTok, and now she's giving other educators a lesson in keeping students engaged. Local 10's Hasavella shows us.
Things about soccer. Today's lesson, a Venn diagram, a way to compare and contrast, but this is old school teaching. Take a lesson from this Hialeah girl turned teacher who's now a TikTok sensation.
I did want to be a broadcast journalist for a long time.
Thankfully, Natalie Stewart is now a third grade teacher at Davies Nova Eisenhower Elementary, incorporating her love for social media in the classroom.
I get the best of both worlds from my job.
It all started 2 years ago, right before the pandemic. Students wanted her to learn a popular TikTok dance.
I realized this was a platform made for me. It allowed me to express my creativity.
And boy, did she. Stewart uses phrases and songs, TV shows and movies, different ways to get their attention, but most importantly, to educate.
Typically, most teachers will do things like 1, 2, 3, and the kids will say, eyes on me. I don't do that because I'm extra.
Is correct. Extra special and truly, truly loved by her kids.
Oh, I just know that I'm a TikTok person and my teacher is. She teaches us and then we know how to do different dances.
Oh yeah, let's talk about those dances, a kid favor on Fridays to celebrate the week-long learning.
It is more than cool, it's inspiring.
The principal tells us this is a teacher who's tapping into social media in a positive way. From Davie, I'm Hatsovella, Local 10 News.
And since she started her account, Ms. Stewart now has close to 300,000 followers on TikTok. And no surprise, she's now the school's Teacher of the Year. That'll do it for us at 5:30. Time now for the news at 6.
Developing now on the roof.
The large police presence when this man refused to come down.
The sky-high standoff went off for hours. I'm Janine Stanwood with why police were so concerned.
Only on Local 10, danger on duty for 2 veteran cops.
Those officers coming under fire and living to talk about it. I'm Rosh Lowe with their incredible survival story.
Sudden ambush, the very scary attack caught on camera.
Another arrest after a club shooting where 23 people were shot.
Florida has over 400 bridges.
Also, only on 10, what Vice President Harris told our D.C. Bureau Chief Ben Kennedy in an exclusive interview.
I'm Alex Finney with a video that is definitely going to make your week. A very big surprise for a big football fan. The news at 6 starts right now.
Off the top at 6, we continue working a developing story. A wanted man climbing the roof of an apartment complex to get away from police.
And Local 10 was the only station there when that man was taken into custody. Let's get right to Local 10 News reporter Janine Stanwood live now in Aventura with our top story at 6. Janine.
It turns out this man was wanted by the U.S. Marshals. He apparently did not want to see them, and he caused quite the commotion right here at the Promenade apartment complex.
All of a sudden we hear this noise on top of our roof.
A wanted man is pacing, appearing to talk on the phone, at one point taking his shirt off on the rooftop of this Aventura apartment complex. Neighbors say for hours he would not get down.
Next thing you know we look out the window and there's all these cops outside asking to speak, or they're talking to the gentleman. And from there, he's like basically running back and forth on top of our roof.
Police say it all started when the U.S. Marshals were serving a warrant on the man. And at first, he was inside the apartment. But then he refused to engage and climbed up onto balconies and onto the building.
Our SWAT team and our crisis intervention unit spoke to him. They established rapport.
Then, just before 4 p.m., he finally comes down. SWAT officers have him in handcuffs, and he's given a bottle of water. Our own Jeff Weinseer, who spoke to witnesses, was there.
We saw them take him down, bring him out, douse him with water, put him on a gurney.
It's an unknown. For us, we're really going into a situation that we don't know, if there's a +1, if there's any weapons.
Police say, in the end, everyone was safe.
We try to always go as slow as we possibly can so that we can ensure that there's no injuries at the end.
Neighbors tell us they did not know him very well. Some say that he'd only lived here for a little while. Meanwhile, we have asked the U.S. Marshals what he was wanted for. We're waiting to hear back. We're in Aventura. I'm Janine Stanwood, Local 10 News.
Thank you, God, for letting me come home to my son.
Tonight, 2 veteran police officers are speaking only to Local 10 after a harrowing experience while on duty. They came under fire while chasing a suspect on the run. That burglary suspect was trying to get away this morning when police say he pulled out a gun and started firing. Local 10 News reporter Rosh Lowe is live with what happened next. Rosh.
It is extremely rare, especially the day of, to hear from 2 officers just hours after they are fired upon. But we have that opportunity tonight to hear from these 2 heroes.
Thank you, God, for letting me come home to my son.
Emily Poveda is grateful. She's an El Portal police officer who has been on the job 9 years. She is a single mom of the love of her life, her 7-year-old son, David.
My day consists of working the midnight shift so that way he doesn't miss me.
Thursday morning on that shift, she saw her life flash before her eyes when she was shot at by a burglary suspect.
At that moment, I'm just thinking, I need to get home to my son.
It all began with this guy burglarizing a home in the area of Northeast 87th Street and Northeast 3rd Avenue around 3:30 in the morning. His white pickup truck is parked in the distance. Police tell us he stole a generator. Officer Poveda and Officer Victor Riveron respond.
It was a pretty scary situation. To think about that, someone can actually take a shot at you and with complete disregard for human life.
The suspect eventually bails out and gets away on foot. She pulls up to the suspect just like this, stops, and then boom, he shoots.
I've never been shot at before, and all I can think of was getting home safe at that moment. My safety and the safety of my partner at that time.
Both officers patrol this small village. They have a passion for their job, their community, their family. They pray to get home safe.
I'm just happy to be here to continue to do my job and live to see another day.
And we demonstrated in the story there just how close this was when you saw Officer Poveda pull up. She's very grateful, so is the other officer. In the meantime, this guy is still out there. Clear video of him. If you know who he is, pick up the phone and call Crime Stoppers in Miami-Dade. That's 305-471-TIPS. We're live tonight in El Portal. Rosh Lowe, Local 10 News.
See something, say something. Thanks a lot there, Rosh. We're now working a safety alert in Fort Lauderdale. Police releasing video that shows a man chasing and then attempting to kidnap a woman. The victim was walking alone near a construction site last month when the attacker ran up behind her. He grabbed and choked her before slamming her to the ground and dragging her away. A Good Samaritan intervening here, causing that attacker to run away. The attempted kidnapping happened near East Las Olas Boulevard on September 9th. Shortly before 6 a.m., the woman was walking in the direction of the beach when she was ambushed. If you know anything about this case, call police.
Police have made a second arrest after the deadly mass shooting outside a banquet hall. 3 people were killed and nearly 24 others were hurt. Local 10 News reporter Terrell Fournay is live in Northwest Miami-Dade with who police have in custody. Terrell.
And Nicole, one of the alleged gunmen in this case is now in custody. Proof that detectives are finally putting the pieces of this puzzle together nearly 5 months after the crime that played out here.
Do you have any money to pay for a lawyer?
Yes, ma'am. Warren Eric Butler is just 20 years old, but is already facing more criminal charges than the number of years he's been alive.
3 counts of first-degree murder and 20 counts of attempted first-degree murder.
The cases stem from a deadly shooting over Memorial Day weekend earlier this year outside of the El Mula Banquet Hall in Northwest Miami-Dade. Surveillance video shows a crowd waiting to get inside of a rap concert as gunmen unleashed a hail of bullets. 32-year-old Shaniqua Peterson died from her injuries, along with 26-year-old Desmond Owens and Clayton Dillard III, who was also 26.
These are serious charges, and I believe the state may be seeking the death penalty on this.
Butler was picked up yesterday by police, and detectives say by his own admissions he was armed with a large assault rifle and is the man seen on video emerging from the front passenger side of the getaway vehicle on the night of the mass shooting. An arrest report says he told cops he fired into the crowd but could not recall how many shots. Last month, police arrested 22-year-old Devontae Barnes for allegedly acting as a lookout for the 3 shooters. He too confessed, say cops, in a targeted shooting that left many innocent bystanders caught in the middle.
I believe you are a great danger to this community, and I'm holding you no bonds.
And Buckner does have a criminal history, which includes a charge of grand theft auto from February of this year. 2 more of those gunmen remain on the loose. Detectives are still taking tips through Crime Stoppers and also directly at Miami-Dade Police with any information. They say to reach out to them directly. Reporting live from Northwest Miami-Dade, I'm Terrell Fournette, Local 10 News.
Okay, thanks a lot there, Terrell.
Tonight, Local 10 News is the one and only South Florida station to sit down with Vice President Kamala Harris.
Our D.C. Bureau Chief Ben Kennedy speaking with the Vice President this afternoon. He's live now with the White House with this exclusive interview. Ben.
Calvin, Nicole, the Vice President said that short-term deal in the Senate to raise the debt ceiling, she says, is a positive step. We talked about that, the President's proposals, and the budget.
So let's start with infrastructure.
In an exclusive interview with Local 10, Vice President Harris talked about lawmakers' latest efforts to pass an infrastructure bill and the president's $3.5 trillion budget plan to invest in climate change, education, and health care.
Florida has over 400 bridges that are in bad condition, that over 700,000 people don't have access to affordable high-speed internet. It's a big issue in Florida and South Florida.
Her remarks come as the fate of the U.S. economy hangs in the balance. Congress has until October 18th to raise the debt ceiling, as Thursday the Senate announced a breakthrough.
Republican and Democratic members and staff negotiated through the night.
We have reached agreement to extend the debt ceiling through early December.
What is your thoughts on this short-term deal?
I think it's a positive step forward, and we have to pay our bills.
In December, lawmakers will face 2 big deals to fund the government and to extend the debt ceiling. Should Americans be worried, we'll be right back where we started.
Well, listen, here's the thing about the debt ceiling, and really it is similar to what you and I and all your viewers know about our own lives, and in that way, the government and the country is no different. You rack up bills as part of the cost of living. You need to pay your bills. When you don't pay your bills, then the people that you do business with lose confidence in you.
In March, the Vice President was tasked with addressing the root causes of migration from Central America. This as state officials in Texas prepare for another possible surge of Haitian migrants at the border.
The country of Haiti has experienced extreme hardship for a long period of time. What we all know is just even in the last decade, what has been obvious, and even before that, but hurricanes and floods and the assassination of a president. And what we are doing as the United States government is saying, let's give aid to Haiti. Let's also provide for temporary protected status for Haitian immigrants.
And the Vice President told me about her recent meeting with UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. They discussed Haiti and the need to launch a bit of a global effort to help the country. Calvin, Nicole?
Yeah, that's right. The international community needs to step in to help the country of Haiti. But what about the any changes to what could possibly happen at the border in light of what happened in Del Rio, Texas?
Calvin, she talked about reconstructing this system to make sure it is humane, humanitarian, but also fair and has due process. But she did stop short, that is, discussing too many details, as she says this is an ongoing process at the border.
It is an ongoing process, the immigration system in our country. Thanks a lot there, Ben. And now to the coronavirus here. Florida is reporting more than 3,500 new cases to the CDC in the last 24 hours. That continues a streak of daily case numbers under 5,000. The State Board of Education said today it will continue to financially sanction the school boards of the 8 districts which are violating the governor's ban on mask mandates. But these districts say that they are not budging. Both Broward and Miami-Dade school districts say they're complying with state law and meeting constitutional responsibility when it comes to mask and quarantine policies. The Broward School Board voted not to change its masking and quarantine rules until COVID positivity rates dropped to 3%.
American Airlines says it's on track to be fully vaccinated by December 8th. American is requiring all employees to be vaccinated by November 24th. Those who choose not to get the shot and do not have religious or medical exemptions will not be allowed to work for American.
And we turn now to your tropical update, our promise to you in the first 10 minutes of every newscast.
Here's Chief Certified Meteorologist Betty Davis with what she's keeping an eye on.
Still tracking this disturbance that we've been watching since early this week. It's an area of low pressure now off the South Carolina coast. Notice how the clouds, the shower thunderstorm activity pushed over to the east side of that center of circulation. That a sign of a hostile environment. The upper level winds are still blowing pretty strong. So this is not going to have too much of a good environment to organize. However, the National Hurricane Center is showing a 30% chance of developing over the next few days. We'll keep an eye on it while it lingers off the Carolina coast through the weekend. Maybe it tries to show signs of development. Also, it's expected to interact with the front, which won't be great for this to organize into an organized tropical system, we'll say. But we'll keep an eye on it. It's not a concern. Guys?
Well, hashtag winning. A little boy proving that he is so much more than his injury. A touchdown that's going to wow you just like it wowed the fans. Coming up.
But first, beach landing. Here, who was on this makeshift boat when it came ashore this morning. It's the very next story on Local 10 News at 6.
More than a dozen Cuban migrants coming ashore in the Florida Keys today. Border Patrol agents spotted 13 people on board this homemade boat near Big Pine Key. All of the migrants were taken into custody. And now to a very powerful play at a youth football game. It came with so much heart that the play had both teams cheering, and some of the crowd even came to tears when 9-year-old James Edwards got the football.
James nearly drowned as a young boy, but is now thriving on and off the field. And Local 10's Alex Finney is live in Coral Springs for us tonight. Alex.
Such a sweet story. It's definitely a video that you're going to want to run back again and then again. James Edwards, he is a miracle, right? But also we have this. You're going to see the video here. Not only is he a winner off the field, but this video will show you he's a winner on the field as well. Flag football, the Parkland Steelers taking on the Dolphins, and perhaps this moment stole the night. The epitome of put me in, coach. Look here as quarterback Sam Moskowitz hands the ball off to James Edwards, who takes it right up the middle, and then touchdown. James was the star.
I was trying not to embarrass him too much, so I tried to keep my cool and pretend like this was a totally normal event. sat on the sideline, tried to get my Zoom as good as I could.
And Mom captured the big moment. But to fully understand all of this and the impact, we have to first take you back to the beginning. James nearly drowned in the family pool back in 2014 while under watch of a caretaker. He was just shy of his second birthday. He now has an anoxic brain injury that has affected him physically.
He's heading into surgery next week to repair his hips.
And as Jenna Edwards says, every day her son is getting better. It truly is amazing to see James today, now 9 years old, not only improving physically, but also pulling plays like this. Talk about performing a cut above the rest. What a moment, and definitely one to remember. And of course, his teammates, well, they went wild.
Everybody at school came up to him today, and apparently it was the talk of the third grade, so he's been very excited.
James is definitely wearing that crown, and rightfully so. We also know, we learned from his mom today that surgery that you just heard from there, he's going in on Tuesday. So of course, just as we did back in 2014, we are praying and we are hoping for all the best as James continues to get stronger and stronger. You go.
Yeah.
For now, that's the very latest live in Deerfield Beach. Alex, Finney, Calvin, and Nicole.
He's not only the talk of third grade, he's going to be the talk of all of South Florida now because everybody's going to be praying for that surgery. What an amazing little boy.
That's right, the BMOC, the big man on campus. There you go.
Thanks, Alex.
All right, talk about scoring. My God, let's check it out with Betty Davis. We scored big time today, huh?
We did. We really did. Other than the fact that we've had the haze around, another day that was just right for being outside and getting some chores done, or maybe just heading out toward Mallory Square and standing with the people to watch what's going to be a gorgeous sunset. When we get that Saharan dust going over our area, that only helps to make for more vivid sunsets out there, casting that reddish orangish hue. Anyway, temperatures were above normal today by 1 degree in Fort Lauderdale and Key West, where we hit 88. Miami, though, we turned it up. We did 90. Our normal for this time of the year is 87. Right now, we've got 85 for Miami. It feels like 93. Winds from the east at 13 miles per hour. Now, with that easterly wind flow, showers that are over the Atlantic waters could drift over in our direction, but the air is so dry that what has tried to come our way so far for the past several hours has simply been shriveling up. And then what popped up over the Everglades, back over the interior parts of South Florida, that's not going to be running back in our direction for tonight. We'll leave room for an isolated shower in this forecast, but by 10 p.m. I'm thinking most of us will just have scattered clouds to partly cloudy skies, temperatures dropping off into the lower 80s. Here's our satellite and radar picture for Florida. Dust model included in this, and you'll notice that dust especially prevalent east of the Bahamas, and then that tinge of dustiness showing up over our area as well. So that helping to dry out the atmosphere here. Meantime, there's a disturbance just off the South Carolina coast. Shower thunderstorm activity associated with that, but shunted over to the east side because upper level winds are so strong, just blowing everything to the other direction. So that not necessarily showing signs of organizing right away. And then there's a front attached to a system over the Midwest. This stalled right near the Panhandle. That front is going to be a feature to watch this weekend. Friday, we're far enough ahead of it such that with daytime heating, we could have a few showers developing inland or back out over the Everglades. But it's going to be Saturday when I think ahead of that front, we'll get the better chance for some showers and storms in the area. So outside plans for Friday. Let's get it in. Saturday, we'll plan for some scattered showers and storms, and then we could have some drier weather returning early next week. Nicole.
All right, thank you, Betty. Magic Matt does it again
Really?
on Jeopardy.
Magic Matt, we've given him a name now. Matt Amodio has now won 36 straight games and more than $1.4 million. Okay, that is magical. But can he do it again? You don't want to miss Jeopardy tonight, 7:30, right here on Local 10.
Caught on camera, a disturbing new video taken just days after the murder of George Floyd. It shows Minneapolis police roaming the streets saying they want to hunt down protesters.
Be very, very quiet. We're hunting activists.
Right there! Get him! Hit him!
Officers seen cheering on one another as they enforce curfews, actually shooting at demonstrators with those rubber bullets. And there's another video to show you. Officers were seen rushing right toward one man before beating him to the ground. The Minnesota Supreme Court has denied Derek Chauvin's request for a public defender. The former police officer is appealing that conviction for the murder of George Floyd as well. The court saying Chauvin has not shown that he cannot afford an attorney, but documents show he is nearly $150,000 in debt. Chauvin is serving more than 22 years for Floyd's murder. He does have an attorney, though, for that separate federal civil rights trial.
Authorities in Chicago searching for a man who shot a state trooper with his own service weapon. This happened late last night during a traffic stop. The trooper had pulled over a Chevy Suburban for speeding when the driver went for the trooper's gun, and it went off during the struggle, hitting the trooper. He was taken to a local hospital where his injuries are not life-threatening. The suspect is still out there.
Caught on camera, life-saving moments in Virginia. That's where police officers' dash camera captures the moment an out-of-control driver